Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Early Birds podcast. And today we have a reoccurring guest, good friend of mine, real estate agent savant, social media savant, Erik Wright. Sir, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, man. Thank you for popping on today. So, look, we're going to change it up on this episode. We've been getting a lot more traction when we've been talking more about just like life and mental health and what it's like being a business owner, and then just real talk, the economy right now. So I'm just going to get us going and just get this thing right off here. So walk me through the last year and a half and how difficult it has been to stay focused with the way the economy has been. Because, listen, there's opportunity, but it's been hurting a little bit.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's kind of like 2021 almost kind of felt like how a lot of these young, probably pro athletes feel when they get their first big check, where it's like money's coming from everywhere. It's endless. Like you can spend, and it just keeps replenishing over and over again. And then in 2022, it stopped. Like not right away, but like probably around April, May, things just really died down, And I think part of that was probably on my end, at least, a little bit of burnout, mental burnout, physical burnout, everything along those lines. But what it really pivoted for me is it made me like dive into my finances really, really deep and start to say, like, what do I need to be spending money on? Why do I need to be saving here and there and there? And it really started to shift the way I look at money and shift the way I look at my finances in a lot of ways, because it showed me that like this market's very unpredictable. Things could crash tomorrow. We don't know. Something crazy could happen in the world that causes the real estate market to just totally plummet. And we have 2 years of like nothingness. And so the last, I'd say year and a half or year or so, it's been really slow. Things have picked up a little bit more this year, at least personally. I know everybody's down 30, 40, 50% for the most part right now, as far as the people I speak with on a regular basis. So it's really just led to kind of like this pivot in mindset, both along the lines of like expectations. Like if you have the same expectations for your goals this year that you had last year and the year before, you're going to be disappointed. That's just the way it is. But if you set different goals outside of just the volume goals and the monetary goals, and rather set goals that, you're setting yourself up for the future from 2 years from now, 3 years from now, that's where you're going to start to see big wins. And then next year when things, open back up a little bit more and there's more inventory, hopefully, you'll start to see your business explode and take off.
You know what's crazy about that too? Obviously, this perspective that you have, I know it's not what you have had, even the last year and a half. We've been talking about it. Obviously, you and I have a good relationship, but your mental health. And now the last 3-4 months, I feel like you're finally back into that groove and getting out of that rut you were in. But what was that like with that depression, the bad eating, the unhealthiness? Like, how did that really impact you? And then what made you kind of go, okay, this is enough. Like, I'm Erik Wright. Okay, I need to be great at what I do, and people need to see me excel at what I do. I got to stop feeling sorry for myself. When did that change happen? How did you even get into that mix?
Yeah, so a big piece of it for me, and what I'm realizing now at least, I didn't understand it at the time, like really the last 3 years, is a lot of it was predicated on like my physical well-being, my physical health, where I was eating like garbage. I wasn't working out. I maybe went to the gym 10 times last year, which isn't me. Like I played college baseball. I've always been like reasonably fit. Like I've never been like jacked or anything like that, like John Haddad in 2008. But I mean, I've always been in good enough shape where like I felt good. I woke up with energy every day, and I fell into this rut like as soon as COVID hit, where it's just like eating like garbage. I had no natural energy. I had to take Adderall, drink a ton of coffee every single day just to like feel enough energy to get anything done, even like responding to emails. And I watched this documentary last year called Stutz with about Jonah Hill.
Yep.
And I've been referencing this a lot in these podcasts. I was on another podcast last night too. And I was talking about basically about like mental health and this like midlife crisis I went through the last couple of years, right? Where I was just like, felt like I lacked purpose, didn't know what direction I wanted to go. I was like, do I even want to do real estate? Like, am I in the right spot right now? Am I really making a difference in people's lives? Am I really like making an impact to where I'm going to be happy in 50 years when I'm on my deathbed? And like the answer was kind of ambiguous in a way. It was like, sure, I've done some cool things, but at the end of the day, no, I'm not happy with where I'm at right now. And in watching this documentary, one of the biggest things I took from it was at the very beginning when he said, whenever somebody comes into me for the first time, I have to give them something actionable where they can see an immediate result of some sort. And most therapists, like I've done therapy a couple times during like the COVID era, and I hated it. I was like, this guy talks too slow. Like He's just asking me, he's not even really asking me questions. Like, what am I getting out of this? And I stopped. Right. Whereas this guy, he was like, 80% of your mental health issues can be solved by finding a resolution for your physical health problems, being healthier, losing weight. Like, and Jonah Hill was like, wow, that's mind blowing, because I always looked at physical health as more of an appearance and aesthetic thing. Like my mom always said, like, get healthier, Jonah, because she wanted him to look better. But in reality, your physical health has such a huge impact on your mental health. And so getting into a better routine now of eating better and working out consistently and like doing these things that I know are going to feed into like my personal well-being. And then when I'm healthy and I wake up with energy every day and I'm happy, if I'm on every day, oh my God, the things that I would be able to accomplish are insane. But like, I've only been productive maybe 1 to 2 days a week for the last 2 years. And I've still been able to do some cool things, but like I just think about like, if I had 7 days in a week, every single week, it would be wild. And like, I see you doing the same thing. Like what's helped you kind of get back into that, like that groove of like working out at 4 a.m., eating better, like all these things. Like you've probably lost 15, 20 pounds since, we started talking about this stuff. You, me, and Rami were going to do that Prolon challenge like 2 years ago. I still think it's sitting in my drawer. But like, what helped you kind of get back into that groove too? Because like, I know for me, I had like a turning point seeing that documentary and just like how I felt. And now I feel a million times better. But like, I know it's different for everybody. Are there things that like helped you kind of get through that?
Yeah. The biggest thing that I believe helps anybody is perspective. And you have to be willing to want to make change, and you have to be really honest with yourself about who you are as a human being. I have a idea of who I want to be as a man, as a human. And for me to get to that goal, I had to make sacrifices that I previously wasn't willing to make. But now my thought process is so damn different, because listen, I want greatness so bad. You have no idea. Like, it's a fire I can't even explain to people. Like, when I wake up, I'm ready to destroy my day now. And the reason that's happening for me is I think about like my mentors, and one of them who passed away, he used to always tell me, he said, John, if you make one impact a day, by the time you look back on your life, you're going to have so many supporters of John Haddad. And that to me has been sticking in my head constantly, because it is tougher right now, but I have to be stronger, because if there's people following me, I need to lead them, and I need to lead them towards greatness. And how can I lead them towards greatness if I'm not making those actions to be great every day? And so for me, what I keep telling myself, my motto now, my perspective, this is really how I feel. I'm going to be old one day. God willing, I get to that place. And everything now, all the drama, all the bullshit that happens is not going to matter. There's only going to be one thing that matters, and I know it. I know it for a fact, because I've been reading books on it. I've been studying it. They did a Harvard study on it for 80 years about what makes people happy. And it's at the end of your life when you look back on it. I'm going to have kids one day. I'm going to have grandkids one day, God willing, and a bunch of friends. And when I'm old and can't move as fast as I am and not as energetic, but they look at me, and my kids and grandkids say, tell me about your life. The beautiful part about me is now, Erik, is I will never have to lie to them about how great my life was, because I'm going to take the actions every single day to be that great and that special, and I will not have to look them in the eye and lie to them. And I'm getting emotional thinking about it, because that's the truth. I don't have to lie anymore. I am doing what I have to do. It is powerful, but it's perspective. And I tell myself that every day I'm feeling down, that yes, it sucks right now, but one day, God willing, I'm old. So my actions need to line up with what I want out of this life. Am I perfect? Hell no, I'm not. But I know what I'm pushing towards. And that's what's changed my life, is perspective, the people around me, and just understanding that this life is short, and I will be old, but I will not have to lie. And there's people out there that's they're going to have to lie to their kids. They're going to have to look their kids in the eye and tell them that, oh yeah, I was great and they weren't. Oh, I used to wake up early, but they didn't. Oh, I used to give it everything I had, but they didn't. And I don't have to do it, man. I don't have to do it. Back in my day stories. I don't have back in my day stories anymore. I'm going to live this life, man. And that's what changed for me.
I love it.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. You got me a little emotional already.
No doubt. Yeah.
Look, and that's what this is about, man. People don't understand. People have been getting crushed the last year and a half. Like, rates are going up. Credit card payments are going up. The debt in this country has skyrocketed for credit cards. It has skyrocketed. You can actually see a trend when the COVID payments were going out. Remember when they were doing like the give backs, you actually saw consumer debt at the all-time low, because they pay off their credit cards or whatever it is. And then what happens after is they start spending again back on the cards. And you're starting to see now that the rates go up. That's how rates work. When the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, your credit card rates also go up. And now you see consumer spending at an all-time high and consumer debt at an all-time high. I know people are hurting right now, and people are looking for that light, and they're not finding or feeling that light. And so that's what we have to start talking to people about, is we have to be that beacon of light for them, that look, this is around the corner. We got this, but you got to stay focused. Don't give up. Don't quit. How are you talking to people about that? How are you talking to agents, your business? How are you keeping your mindset strong about, look, we got 6 to 8 months left of this? How are you keeping that focus for everybody?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, and like I've been having a lot of these conversations with our agents too, and like mind you, like Q1 tends to be one of your slowest quarters inherently anyways. So it's really early to get overly concerned about your business right now. You know, Q1's like the trickle of Christmas time, Thanksgiving, like those are the closings and lead gen that are happening right now. A lot of the after the new year is what you hear a lot of times at the end of the year. So like it's so early to panic right now, but on that same note, I think it's like the biggest thing is going to be preparing yourself for very modest expectations and the worst, and hoping for the best and working and striving for the best. Because there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I'm going to adjust my finances to where I know I'll be comfortable if I only make $60K this year instead of $100K I made last year. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's actually been a study, and I don't know if you're familiar with Gravity Payments. The company in Seattle. I think they're in Seattle.
He pays everybody the salaries.
Yeah, the CEO like 4 or 5, it was a while ago now. And it was huge all over the media and everything, because basically there was this study that was done that basically said your happiness level increases very, very marginally after $70,000 a year. And of course, this is going to be proportionate, I'm sure, to like where you live. If you're in LA, I'm sure it's a little bit higher, but national average wise, your happiness level doesn't really increase that much after $70,000. And I think most people in real estate naturally start to set all their goals predicated on wealth and money and income and all this type of stuff that's very like, you know, materialistic. And when in reality, and I can speak from experience, and I'm sure you'd agree to this, it's like I'm no happier now, or even in 2021 when I was making more money than I've ever made in my life than I was when I was 23, 24 years old, making, you know, $52,000 in my first job out of college. And the reason for that is because your life's going to adjust no matter what to whatever you are bringing in from an income perspective. And so the biggest thing in a year like this, and just like in a market like this, is like stop setting as many income goals and rather start to set yourself up for the next 2, 3, 4 years. Like this is a really small blip on the radar when you look at your career, when you look at your life. This 1 year, this last 2 years, whatever you want, however you want to look at it, to where if you can start to set yourself up and build up your business for the future when things do break, and break in the sense of like open back up and there's more inventory and things are going better again and you're making money again, which will happen. I mean, that's what the real estate market does. It just goes up in reality. You know, there might be some little dips and stuff like that. So just adjust your finances and be really conservative in terms of your spending on things that aren't investment related. And when I say investment, a lot of times I have these conversations with our agents about like marketing spend and Facebook spend and branding spend and stuff like that. They view it as an expense. I'm like, that's not an expense. That's an investment, because that's going to show you a return. An expense is going and buying your $6 Starbucks. That's an expense because there's no actual return on that outside of what you would get from a 50-cent coffee that you make in your Nespresso. You know, that's a choice. That's an expense. An investment is like, I'm going to put $1,000 a month into my Facebook spend or my direct mail spend or whatever it is, knowing that if you do that consistently, you're going to start to see a return on investment. So just readjusting your perspective on where you're spending your money, and also just being very conscious of how you're spending your money right now, because I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass and tell you like, oh no, things are great. Like it's right around the corner. It's going to start. It might not, you know? So like you need to be smart about it, and just understand too that like there's goals outside of just the financial goals. As long as you can still support your family, still support yourself. Maybe you're not going on those extra 2 vacations this year or that extra vacation this year, but if you stay with it, there's going to be a lot of real estate agents that are going to fall off in 2023 and get out of the business. And as long as you're one of those that do not, in 2024 and 2025 and 2026 and so on, you're going to be one of the 15,000 left out of the 36,000 that exist right now that are going to be reaping all the benefits of being able to stay strong through this time.
So here's what I loved about what you said, okay? And this goes for, by the way, this is not just real estate specific, this what he's talking about right now. You're talking about risk and fear, okay? Risk and fear and investing in yourself. So Jim Rohn is one of like my favorite people ever from like a motivational.
I see him on your story all the time.
I love him, man. He's unbelievable. Like for me, it works. You know, everybody's different. Some people love Tony Robbins. There's so many others out there, right? I'm a Jim Rohn fan. And one of the things he talks about is risk. And so you talk about investing in yourself, and Jim Rohn is all about, you know, invest in you. And then any job you have, you'll be great at, but you have to invest in yourself first. So to those agents and anybody out there, entrepreneur-wise, what you said is, okay, what's an investment versus what's actually an unnecessary spend? So what I always tell people is this. Okay, so what if I said to you that if you invest $10,000 in yourself, you're going to make $400,000? Would you do it? Yeah, I would do it. Okay, but they're afraid to do it now because it's risky, right? You're fearful of it. Well, I don't know. Well, then you got to go find out. Is it a risk? Yes, it's a risk. Waking up is a risk. Jim Rohn always talks about this. Life is risky. I don't know if you've ever seen that post with Jim Rohn where he's like, it's all risky. Life is risky. Getting out of bed is risky. Going on vacation is risky. It's all risky. But he said one day you're going to look back on your life. And do you want to look at that risk and tell yourself, God, I wish I could have done more? And he goes, if you think not trying is hard, if you think trying is hard, wait till you get the bill for not trying.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
And that's the reality of what you're talking about is like, stop being afraid to take that risk. Stop having that fear. You can't. What's the worst that's going to happen? John, I'm going to lose all my money. Okay, figure it out. That's not the worst thing. There's been millions of people that have lost all their money and bounced back thousands of times. But what are you going to do? Hoard it? And then what? You're old? You're old and like, oh, I could have done more. But like my life turned out, it turned out okay.
Yeah.
Why do you want an okay life? Make it great. But how are you going to make it great, Eric, if you're not investing in yourself? You know your ROI so much. And you used to even, when you first started, you would still spend to figure it out. And now look at you. You're an entrepreneur. And I won't put your business out there on how much you spend on your business. But if people understood where it started and where you're at now, like that was a risk you constantly took when you were making nothing. And you were like, okay, screw it. Like, let's at least try this. I learned a couple things from my previous work environment. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I might as well be a real entrepreneur. Like, how did you get in the mindset to take those risks so early on? Like, even when you first started the Facebook ads and all the other stuff that you did, like, how did you go, oh God, all right, I don't know what the ROI is going to be just yet, but I feel like this is going to work?
Yeah, I mean, I'll use an analogy like relative to the health stuff, like in terms of like working out, right? The only way your muscles grow is essentially when you fail, in a sense, when you're tearing your muscles and they rebuild and they get bigger and you get stronger. Same thing is for business, right? Like one commonality that every successful person I've ever met has, that I've ever listened to on a podcast, read a book, whatever that may be, is they all fail. And that's what risk inherently is like people are afraid to fail. And I think right now with social media and everything like that, failure is so public now, whether you want it to be or not, because 9 times out of 10, when somebody starts a business, they're posting about it because they get a lot of gratification out of like all the congratulations and all this stuff. And then they usually stop because like that's enough. Like they get enough out of that. You never hear anything about that business ever again because they started it for that post in a way. There's just like a lot of fake entrepreneurs, but like in the sense of that, it's like not being afraid to fail and like almost chasing it has always been like my biggest tool and my biggest skill, because I have the highest risk tolerance in the world. Like if you came to me with like this incredible opportunity, I'd be like, yo, let's do it. Like I'll throw my net worth at it, you know, kind of thing. And so like that's really been like my biggest tool, is just like having no fear of failure. And granted, I understand like some people have families, like you have twins on the way, so it's like failure becomes very different when you have other people relying on you. But I have a bunch of people relying on me, and I know that like if I fail enough, eventually it's going to compound into some big success. And the only way you grow, you know, going back to the working out analogy, is like if you do fail. Like it's the only way you're going to learn. That's the only way you're going to evolve, that you're going to innovate, that you're going to identify better ways to do things. You don't just like Thomas Edison didn't just like create a freaking light bulb and the first time it worked. And like he was just like, oh, dope, I just created this, you know. Like there were so many failures along the way, and he didn't give up because he believed in what he was doing. So as long as you have like the foundation of like believing in what you're doing, and that's key. Like if you start running social media ads and you don't actually believe it's gonna work, you're gonna quit 100%. I promise you. After 3 months, you're gonna be like, oh, I didn't make any money, I'm done. But if you know that it's gonna work, like I did for 8.5, 9 months, I didn't get a single lead from it for 9 months. And like, this is when I was broke. I had in like 2015, 2016, I probably had like 30, 40K in credit card debt from Facebook ads and like my business, and like no money in my bank account. And I was spending, you know, because I knew it was going to work. I had listened to enough people that it worked for. And like, I had enough people around me that were also ambitious and knew those things were going to be the future, that I just trusted it. So like, you need to trust yourself. You need to trust people that are around you in your corner and in your circle that are, whether they're smarter than you, know more than you about a certain topic or whatever it is, like trust them. Like you need to trust people, and then also have like some tolerance for risk of failure, because at the end of the day, none of these CEOs and entrepreneurs you see nowadays, like the Mark Zuckerbergs, all these guys, like none of them have gone through life without failing. You may not see them publicly or they don't talk about them, but 99 out of 100 times they're probably failing. But that one success is what overshadows all of that. And that's what people talk about. They don't talk about Mark Zuckerberg's failures. They don't talk about, you know, Elon Musk's failures. Like he's failed multiple times. He got pushed out of PayPal as a CEO. Like he's failed multiple times, but he's still the wealthiest man in the world.
You're so, listen, first two things from that. Number one, your circle. Okay. But before I get into your circle, what you talked about is, you know, the 30, 40K in credit card debt. That's the fear piece. And here's what I tell people, because I've been trying to learn. You know, I was thinking about when I was 18 years old and I was bartending. And it's like, was my mind capable of understanding what I know today? And it wasn't, right? It wasn't. I didn't realize that I could do what I'm doing right now at 18. No one ever painted that vision for me. Those weren't conversations I was having, you know, with my family even. I'm first generation, you know, love my parents to death. But they came from back home. And for them, what was a major win? Coming to this country. Like my dad grew up in a mud hut. You know, when he landed in America, he was like, what? I did it. He did do it. Like his dad, you know, my grandfather, God rest his soul, he passed away before I was born. But my grandfather gave my dad all the money he had. And he said, go to America and figure it out. That's what he told my dad. And my dad was 18. I can't even imagine. You know, me, I was bartending at 18. I'm pouring drinks. I'm having fun, talking to girls, you know, at the time. Like, I'm having a blast. My dad was given money by my grandfather and said, come to America and figure it out. And my dad figured it out the best way he could. And that was his brain. You know, that's like the best. He's like, yo, I did it. So it's like people need to understand. They're like, well, John, how do I break that? How do I get to the next level? You need to set realistic goals, to your point. Not, okay, I'm going to make $100,000. And then if you don't make $100,000, now what? It's a failure. No. Change your perspective. Okay, I'm going to post. I want to get 5 likes on your post. Okay, that's attainable. Now you get 5 likes. Now the gratification. Now your mind is telling you, okay, you're capable of getting 5 likes. Now I want to get 10 likes. Now you're capable of getting 10 likes. Now how do I get to 15, 50, 100, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000? You have to start teaching your brain to build slowly on top of it. Your brain that's how it works. Your brain doesn't just figure it out right away. Well, there's some savants out there in this world that do, but for the most part, because people always say, well, what if I don't know what to do? Yes, you do. You know how to set small goals. Don't be dumb. You can find the information anywhere. You want to be a social media influencer? Go to ChatGPT, okay? Type in, what are the steps to be a social media influencer? Go to Google, for all I care. The info's out there, but people want to skip the hard part and they want to jump to Mark Zuckerberg status. You don't get to do that. That's not how life works. Oh, look at Erik Wright, all the business he brings in. You don't get to skip the line. Erik didn't skip no line. And the best part is with you, you're teaching them how to even skip the line. You're like, okay, well, for me, it took me 7 years, let's just say. I'll help you do it in 4.
Right.
But then after 2 months, they're like, it's not working. I said, I'll help you do it in 4, not in 2 months. I said 4 years, not 2 months. Why are you upset? Why are you looking at me funny? I said, that's going to take time. Don't skip the line. So stop skipping the line out there. Please stop it. Set attainable goals for yourself to help your brain out. I promise you it works more than anything else I've ever done. And the second piece, your circle. Your circle. I'm going to tell a quick story and then ask you a question, okay? So when I was 25, 26 years old, I worked at my previous employer. I was very fortunate. I've been on roughly 12 private jets. None of these jets were mine, okay? God willing, one day they will be, mine one day. Me and you both, right? God willing, it is a goal that I'd love to have. But I remember being invited and on these private jets. And this one particular time, we had a 3-hour flight. And I got a phone call and we were going to Texas. And I won't mention who was on the flight, but I go to the private airport. And it's pretty cool. You just kind of park your car, you get off, you just kind of walk right on. And as we get on there are 2 billionaires and there are 4 millionaires on this flight. And me, I was just grateful to be on there. I'm like a fly on the wall, nothing. Just all I'm going to be is a sponge. And we take off, we're in the air, and I'm just listening to everything. I just want to listen. That's it. No notes, no nothing, just pure focus. Erik, these conversations with these individuals, do you think there was any negativity in these conversations?
Oh, absolutely not. You don't have time to be negative.
Because that's not what millionaires and billionaires look for. They don't look for losers to add to their circle. They look for winners to add to their circle. Winners. Our conversations are constantly proactive, right? We've had tough conversations too, but guess what our conversations never are?
Going backwards.
No,
Negative.
because you and I don't have time to do that because we don't care. We've seen that light. And so now we're trying to help others see that light. And so for those out there, ask yourself, if you want that money, if you want to make it in this world, go look at millionaires and billionaires, study them. You go tell me what they talk about. And if you find them talking about negativity, please send them my way because I'd love to talk to that person. All I've seen in those circles are winners. And that's why it's so important to keep that circle so tight. But you also have to sometimes separate yourself and look at your circle group and go, man, and I'll use the word, I don't care. Are these a bunch of losers? Or are these people winners that are trying to take me to the next level? And if there's losers in your circle, I'm sorry, bring them out. But here's the difference. You can have a circle of winners. They can help bring up a loser, right? They can help bring up a loser. But it can't be reversed. You can't be in a circle of losers and you're the only winner. You know why? The losers are going to win. They're going to bring you down. It's possible to bring you down. It is.
100%.
So you can't do that to yourself. And that's the biggest thing that I think people really, really miss out on. So what do you say to those people that when they look at you sometimes? And I've seen the comments before and the hate and people that, come at you a little bit here and there. Oh, he doesn't do that, doesn't do that. How do you kind of just because early on I feel like you didn't ignore him as much, where now you're like, I don't got time for this. How have you made that adjustment?
Anybody that's being negative in general is typically unhappy with something internally with them. And so I've found this new level of empathy for people just in general. That's something I think I've always lacked because from going back to the word perspective, where it's my middle brother Brandon, he'll be 30 this month. He's severely cognitively impaired. He's like a 1-year-old. He's nonverbal. He's never been able to talk. So he's epileptic. He's had seizures his entire life. And so I had this perspective of why are you complaining? It's not that bad. And I've always been like that. And it's almost been a level of no empathy for anybody else with problems. But I need to understand that they have their own perspective too. So what's not a problem to me may be a problem to them. And so a way that I've kind of been able to get over all of this too is the irony of this year, specific this year and last year, is I finally have time, yeah. And you were talking about study billionaires, study these guys, learn, educate yourself. If you're sitting at home just complaining right now about oh, I don't have any business, I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna go watch an entire season of Netflix in the next 48 hours. What are you doing? This year and last year, you could go get 4 college degrees on YouTube and Google in 24 months, in the sense of what you're going to educate yourself on, what you're going to learn. You could become a savant on social media. You could learn every algorithm. You could learn how to leverage SEO shit. You could learn how to code. You've taught yourself essentially how to write code, because you've taken the time to learn. And I think people get this, they get intelligence and knowledge mixed up, right? Intellect is something that's just innate. You may have, John Haddad may have a higher ability to go learn and retain things than the average person, right? That's intellect. Mm-hmm. That's just something you have inside you. Knowledge is what you know. Your IQ score isn't showing, your IQ score is showing what you know. It's not showing your intellect. You might be able to go learn all those things like that if you tried and you wanted to. And I think a lot of people underestimate how smart they really are simply because they just don't have a depth of knowledge because they haven't taken the time to go learn things. Whereas you can figure out what works for other people really easily nowadays on social media, wherever, on Google. And then if you just take the time, set aside 20 hours a week, it's not fun. Learning isn't fun necessarily. It doesn't have to be, but the outcome of it is. And so if you just take 15, 20 hours a week that I know you have right now as a real estate agent, because things are slow, you're going to thank yourself in a year and a half when things blow up and ideally, and your business and you're super busy. In 2021, I didn't have time to do anything. I sold 150 homes. I didn't have time to eat. I didn't have time to work out. I didn't have time to literally do anything for myself. And I'm loving this downtime right now because I can finally take the time to go learn and educate myself and grow to where now I can go relay all this information to our team and to people around me and help lift other people up, because now I'm going to be, again, 10 steps ahead of everybody else because I'm taking the time to do it. And I'm not just sitting at home oh, well, shit, I guess things are slow this year. I'll just go, binge eat myself to death and and watch TV every day. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm learning. I'm educating myself. I'm growing. I'm trying to find new ways to evolve, not for this year necessarily, but for 3 years from now. You know, Jeff Bezos said in an earnings report a few years ago, favorite thing I've ever, I don't listen to a lot of them, but like favorite thing I've ever heard in one of these, they missed earnings for the first time that quarter. I think it was like since they had been a public company, or at least like in the last decade or something. And they were like, Jeff, what are you guys going to do to make sure this doesn't happen next quarter? He goes, oh, that was decided 3 years ago. I don't have any control over that. He's like, everything we're doing today is for 2 to 3 years from now. That's what we're working for right now, because that's how calculated and that's how planned we are. And that's how you should think in everything to a certain extent. Obviously the like living in the now is important, but like when you're building a business, you need to think 2-3 years ahead. You can't just think for, oh, what am I going to do tomorrow? Because then something's going to pivot, like this market shift, and you're going to be like, oh shit, like I don't have any business coming in. I don't have anything to do, because you weren't thinking 2-3 years from now. You weren't building these contingency plans on how to pivot when things do go bad. And so like, that's the biggest thing, is just like, take this time you have right now to get smarter, like educate yourself, like learn new things, learn new skills. People are going to notice, like buyers and sellers, people are like other real estate agents, people are going to take notice of you evolving and you growing. And then naturally, those are the people they want to work with. They want to work with people that are growing, that are trying to get better, not the ones that are just sitting back and just like, oh, I'm going to keep doing things the way that have always been done. And, you know, just hope it works. And if it doesn't, I don't know. I guess I'll complain about it on social media enough until maybe people start reaching out to me and want to work with me, which that's not how it's going to work.
No, that's not how it works. Listen, we're gonna wrap up here. I can go on for forever. I feel like this conversation's really heading in the right direction here. But I want to get us wrapped up, and I'll end us with this, unless you got something else to add to it. But to your point, you know what the thing with negativity is, and I've learned this too, and I've been there. You and I have, we've had our shit, you know. Negativity's so easy to do. It's so easy because, like you said, you and I can get negative right now for anything. Doesn't require thought. Does not require much thought to be negative. But you know what does require effort? Learning. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Positivity, learning, trying to grow, going to read a book in the morning, as opposed to getting in your own head like, oh, woe is me. What the hell? I can't wait to get online right now and mess people up. Like, that's such an easy thing to do because it requires no effort. But actually sitting there, waking up, going to the gym, for example, that's hard. It's exhausting. You think I want to go every morning at 4?
No, I ain't working out.
Hell no. Exactly. It hurts. I'm getting older. My joints start to hurt. But guess what? When I'm posting this stuff now, here's what's been crazy. I've been posting about just positive. It's all I've been focusing on. The amount of business I've brought in from new agents, specifically new agents, I talked to you about this, has been absurd. And it's only been 50 days for me getting back into the grind of like mortgages. But it's all been brand new agents connecting, and all they're seeing is, I love what you're doing online, and I just want to be part of it. And I talked to your group recently, and I said the same thing. I'm looking to work with people that want to be held accountable. And if that's not you, I'm not the right fit for you. And it's crazy because it's changing people's mindset simply by me leading the way. And that's what I would challenge all of you to do. Try being positive for 30 days. I'm talking anytime you have a negative thought, pinch yourself, shock, I don't care how you do it. But try for 30 days and you tell me if you don't make more connections and more people don't gravitate towards you, I would be shocked. And I'd love for you to tell me about how it didn't work for you, because I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah. Get outside in the sun more. Go for more walks.
Yes, go for. Hey, that's the message this year's. Go for more walks. Go have some fun. Smile a little bit. Listen, Erik, thank you very much, as always, man. Yeah, I appreciate you more than you know. This is another episode of the Early Birds podcast. And like Erik said, go out for more walks. Enjoy the sun. Take care.